Welcome to the end zone. I'm Rob.
And I'm Ray, and sorry that we missed last week for our episode. We had family down in SoCal, so we just had a bunch of functional stuff going on for Thanksgiving, and a couple of personal things too taken care of.
Yeah.
But it feels good to finally be back on the air. I know nobody really tunes in as much, but it's so cool doing this project and kind of just launching it off the ground as much as we can. So. Uh, well, we got recap for week 12 and week 13. So, how have the last 2 weeks been for you?
I don't know if I want to talk about them. I had high hopes and high expectations, but it didn't pan out too good. I lost two pivotal matchups. I played Pelagroso in week 12. I lost 137.88 to 108.96. So that was unfortunate. And then this past week was a big one for week 13. I needed to beat Buck, Brees Almighty. And the bad thing is, I had my initial lineup set, and I'm thinking, okay, well, Tampa Bay's playing Carolina, Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, week two coming back from injury. I'm like, all right, let's roll. And so I put Bake as my QB. I swapped out Mahomes. I also Buck had Josh Allen, so I put in Shakir for Jaden Reed, which was a huge mistake. And then I put Kate Otten in my flex instead of Najee Harris. Huge mistake. So kind of shot myself in the foot. So I lost both of my matchups at the most inopportune time because this week is the last week of regular season and I need a lot of help. I need a win this week and I need help to actually climb into that sixth spot. So, how about you? How's your last 2 weeks?
Kind of on the same boat. It's just been a rough ride. I feel like nothing has gone my way at all this year in fantasy football. Week 12, I mean, I played Brees Almighty, who you just lost to, but unlike having Josh Allen for him this week, when I played him week 12, he had Josh Allen on a bye, so I'm like, okay, well, hopefully I can sneak a dub in there, with the top guy down, and I needed to win out pretty much to have a chance at making it in the playoffs, and man, didn't work out that way. I got whooped 146.36 to 100 on the dot. I had 100 points on the dot. So he had Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, just having insane games. He picked up Nick Chubb after I dropped him, and Nick Chubb, of course, goes for 18.5 that week against the Steelers with two touchdowns. So, and then he got Nico Collins back that week. So it wasn't too fun. I had Jane Daniels starting that week, and he had 36 points, but then you go to the rest of my roster, not much outside of Devon Achan. Justin Jefferson 3 points, which is highly unusual for him. Malik Neighbors has been after a strong start, kind of slow. And Njoku dropped a touchdown that week, so it just, man, it's one of those years for me, I feel like, where it just nothing was going my way all year. My team couldn't get in a rhythm. I couldn't get in a rhythm with the fantasy gods this year. So he actually that week had the second highest score. The highest score that week was Gila Monsters. He had Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Zay Flowers, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs had 28.6 that week too. Dallas Goddard, Cortland Sutton, who's been actually having a strong season since week 7, and Matt Gay, Tampa Bay defense. So congrats to Gila week 12. Week 13, I lost to Marco, Sin City Raiders, my team. Again, I kind of got probably too cute this week. I think that's what you were telling me as well. And what hurt me was my quarterback and tight end. So I had Bo Nixon against the Browns, and he did good. I mean, he threw like a 90-something yard touchdown, but that's pretty much all he did. Jane Daniels, I put on the bench. I didn't think they were going to throw the ball as much against Tennessee, but then he goes for 4 touchdowns, of course. So that was pretty rough. And then I put Taysom Hill in my tight end spot over David Njoku, and Taysom Hill had a good game, but he tore his ACL while he's having that good game. And then, of course, David Njoku gets 21.7 on my bench. So
Yeah.
exactly like sums up my fantasy year this year. I can't do anything right. So.
I feel you. I've been struggling with Christian McCaffrey. He was my first round keeper. Didn't get him back until after their bye week. Had him for like 4 weeks, and he's been very, you know, down as far as Christian McCaffrey type production. And then, he's playing this past weekend, and now he's down again. He's out, pretty much out for the season
Yeah,
at
they
this
put him on the
point.
IR.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe coming back for the playoffs, but I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs being the Niners. So his season's probably done. So again, you know, such a high pick for no very very little production this year. So that's kind of been my biggest problem. So now I'm trying to actually put a blast out in the league to see if anybody wants to trade because I can't risk keeping him as a first round pick. He's got huge upside, but man, the fact that he doesn't play all the time has been a little challenging. So I'm seeing if I can shop him at this point. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's been the Monday night game was kind of crazy with the amount of points scored. With the Browns and Broncos, and Jameis Winston, almost passed for 500 yards, which was crazy. So I kind of had a peace of mind to try to pick up Winston while I was at the bowling alley yesterday, and then I saw Gila Monsters picked him up for Geno Smith, and I'm like, I was kind of in the same boat because I was like, shoot, man, I might just drop Bake and because Bake's kind of dinged up, but they got the Raiders this week being Tampa Bay, so I'm hoping that Bake can do his magic.
There you
So
go.
yeah, so I don't know. I really need a win this week. I'm playing Sin City, and he's 6-7. I'm 5-8. So I have the tiebreaker over points there's like four people that are 6-7, and I have tiebreakers over all of them because I have more points.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that I can sneak into that sixth spot and try to weasel my way into the playoffs. But my running back game is kind of weak, so
Yeah, I was kind of hoping the same, like how you were saying with the points thing. Like I had more points than pretty much everyone besides you ahead of me that I could have leapfrogged if I won out, but
yeah,
didn't happen that way. So, man, it sucks though because like we went from championship last year to ninth and tenth this year after having this podcast, which is so like it's almost like it cursed us. Like, oh, you guys think you're so good? Well, how about we expose you guys and put you in last place this year? But I think it would be cool too because then it gives us a story of how to hopefully bounce back next year and make some tweaks for next year. So
right.
I'm like, it sucks, but sometimes you
Well,
just gotta accept your defeats. I don't think I've ever finished last place in a fantasy football season. This is definitely the first, so you guys are witnessing history at least. So- but
yeah.
yeah, it's been rough, but yeah, I mean, but there's been a lot of action inside the NFL the past 2 weeks though.
Hmm.
Besides the fact, so a couple of takeaways I've had. I mean, I saw you picked up Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Judy's been on an upward trend with Jameis Winston at quarterback, so that's been pretty cool to see him kind of revive his career. Hopefully, he
Yeah.
can maintain it for next season.
Yeah, I picked him up because Shakir, the last, I think, like 2, 3 weeks has done very minimal. And, Judy's been popping off. Winston loves to air it out. So, and Cedric Tillman was out. He's been dinged up. So I'm like, shoot, why not? But they have Elijah Moore. But I think, Judy seems to be the number one go to. And then Njoku, he had a good Monday night game, those 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
So against a tough Broncos defense too, which was pretty impressive. But I mean,
Yeah.
Jameis Winston threw 2 pick sixes, so
Yeah, that was pretty timely for the Broncos defense was those pick sixes. I feel like those are really pivotal for the
yeah,
team. It was, man, I was so surprised how high scoring the game was. I mean, I know both quarterbacks are pretty scrappy with airing it out, but both defenses have been playing respectable, especially the Broncos. So it was pretty surprising to see the high scoring games but at least it was a good Monday night game. I feel like some of the primetime games this year have been pretty high octane, with a lot of action. So that's been a
yeah,
nice surprise this year.
yeah. That has been a nice surprise. I think in another good game was kind of the Philly Baltimore game,
Hmm.
and so man, it just between Philly and Detroit, man, those two teams just look like they're destined for the Super Bowl because
Yeah.
they're both kind of dominating their divisions and dominating the league. They've been having really playing some tough matchups and coming out pretty good on the other side with their wins. And I figured the Philly Baltimore was kind of maybe a Super Bowl preview, but I don't know, man. Baltimore looks a little. I don't know what it is, but they just look like they're missing a beat right now.
I think it's. you know, I think when come playoff time, teams are going to prep for Derrick Henry more. I feel like they're kind of realizing, he was the missing X factor for Baltimore, so they're going to try to eliminate him. And if they could do that, I mean, I feel like they got a better shot at winning. I think Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback. It's just when you see him in the pocket against, other top tier quarterbacks, it's just hard to compare the two. Like he's accurate, but he's not like I feel like he can't take control of the game from the pocket, like obviously like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen.
Right.
Jalen Hurts kind of surprising this year too with take control in the pocket. He's been airing it out more to AJ Brown and then Devontae Smith. I mean, he's done that in years past, but I feel like he's more in control this year in the pocket too than he was in years past. He's trying to turn the ball over less, and then obviously you got the tush push, which is impossible to stop. So, but yeah, with Baltimore, I just think they stopped Derrick Henry. It gives you a better shot at winning, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's not a knock. Like I like Lamar Jackson as a player. Like I think he's really good. Obviously, he's having an
Hmm.
MVP season, but just realistically, like from football's perspective, that's just what I see. But maybe he could prove me wrong too, and kind of take the Ravens over the top this year. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I thought that was a pretty good game. Especially Devontae Smith coming back, and they seem like Saquon Barkley. I almost feel like he's the league MVP this year because
I think so too.
man, he has been just dynamic. I mean, Derrick Henry for a while had a great stretch, but Saquon Barkley, I just feel like his game to Philly this year has been much more impactful than Derrick Henry with Baltimore. I mean,
Absolutely.
Philly's been good, but with that offense, but man, with him running, with a purpose and having a team that's actually competing for, the division and for, NFC and then also, potentially a Super Bowl, he's charged up and he's running well. And, he's doing it, receiving, he's doing it rushing, he's been breaking big run after big run. So, he's pretty electric right now.
Yeah, this is definitely the best he's ever been. I think he's better than even his rookie season, which was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
you go back a couple weeks, week 12, obviously we didn't talk about week 12 because we missed our last week, but the guy had over 300 scrimmage yards, and I know Pellegrosso had him against you, and we're like, holy
Yeah.
cow, like he was just shredding the Rams. Like, he had 255 yards rushing, the two touchdowns, and then four catches, 47 yards. So, yeah, he's looking like the complete package this year. And I think, yeah, me personally, I would say he should be MVP, if not him. I actually think, maybe Josh Allen or Joe Burrow should get it. Um, Joe Burrow's been keeping the Bengals in tough games, and the defense just hasn't backed him up this year. But Joe Burrow's just, he's been playing top tier football.
Yeah.
And, Josh Allen with the Bills, everyone thought the Bills weren't going to be as good this year, but he's just proven his value there too. Like, as long as he's there, they're going to be a competitive team. So, uh,
They're the Bills' defense has been pretty surprising this year. They've actually
yes,
played a lot better than I thought they would because they lost a lot in the
they did.
offseason, and I didn't think they were going to be as good as they are this year. I mean, we knew Josh. For me, you know, we see the Bills a lot. Being Dolphins fans, knew Josh Allen's going to do his thing, no matter what, no matter who he has out there. Like that guy, he's grit. He gets out there and he likes to run. He likes to pass. He finds his guys. But that defense has been playing a lot better. I mean, they beat down the Niners. It was depleted. I mean, but still, man, Niners only got 10 points on them, and I was kind of surprised that the defense has been playing as good as they have. And then when you talked about Burrow, I mean, the Pittsburgh Cincinnati game, that was 82 points between the two teams. 44 to 38. And I don't think that it's ever been that high of a scoring game. Russell Wilson played well. Your man Pickens did good. Chase did good. Higgins did good. Burrow's doing good. So it's just kind of, yeah. It's
Yeah,
unfortunately for MVPs, I think they kind of look at the team's record as well, and
yeah.
that's where I think Burrow's going to come up a little short. But he might get a couple of votes, but yeah, he's definitely been playing at a high level this season.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, like if you really look at the games, if they didn't have him, there's no way they would have even been in those games, you know? Like he's single-handedly been keeping them afloat and, trying to give them the playoff hopes, but just the defense, I mean, they just constantly get beat. They don't really have a secondary, it seems like this year, which is kind of surprising because they have some pieces there. It's just I don't know if it's play calling or if it's just dysfunction or what's going on, or maybe guys aren't obviously they're probably not as motivated after giving up all these points all year. But yeah, it's just a shock, man. I'm like, Joe Burrow's I mean, he's got, let's see here, let's see what his stats are. 30 touchdowns already passed. And how many pass yards does he have here? 200, he's averaging 278.1 pass yards per game, 107.4 passer rating, 300 or 3,337 total passing yards. I mean, that's just insane. And only 5 interceptions, which is even the crazier part. Like he's really having an MVP year. Just the
Yeah.
defense is selling him, and it sucks for him. But I
Yeah.
guess you know what point of emphasis you're gonna be working on in the off season.
Yeah, for sure. Because as far as fantasy points for quarterbacks, he's second overall. Lamar Jackson's at 395.4 in our league, and Burrow's second with 340.48, and then third is Jaden Daniels with 303.76, and then we got a couple of the guys, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts at 300, and change. So, you know, yeah, he's been an exceptional QB, with only the 5 interceptions too. Kind of surprised Lamar Jackson only has three,
Yeah,
but yeah,
two
but
of
with
two of them actually. I don't know if you've seen his passes that were picked. I saw like a post, but there was only two that really I think were probably shouldn't have been intercepted. I think he only has like one legit. Like, dude, yeah, like that could have been.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
So I
He's
think
having a good
yeah, yeah, I think kind of Lamar runs a lot more than Burrow does. He's got 111 carries, 678 yards, 3 touchdowns. Burrow's got 33 carries, 160 yards, and a touchdown. So I think when they look at MVP voting, that's exactly what they're going to look at. The total package, the total body of work. Where your team's at. Place wise within the league,
Yep.
and so I think sadly, as well as Burrow's been playing, he's going to come up a little short this year. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's been a crazy year of I feel like just random people popping off this year. It almost seems like, I mean, you got like who would have really thought that Joe Mixon would have been as good as he is this year? Who really would have thought that you know, David Montgomery like as a top tier player, Josh Jacobs, change of scenery, James Cook, Terry McLaurin, all out scoring, Justin Jefferson. Like it's just been like a crazy trend this year. And then you got like Baker Mayfield playing amazing football. Chase Brown has really emerged. Chuba Hubbard like was
yeah,
just going off this year. So it's been a weird trend of like usual suspects kind of not as good this year, or maybe like old players that were good like coming back to life this year. Like Alvin Kamara is the top five running back, top four in our league. Um, and then you got like Brees Hall, who I thought was going to be like the top tier running back all the way down. And then Aaron Jones way down, Ken Walker way down, Jonathan Taylor way down. And it's just like,
yeah,
holy cow. Um, there hasn't been any like real consistency outside of like Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, um, Lamar Jackson. Outside those guys, it's been like really volatile, I feel like.
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I mean, Joe Mixon. Yeah, I don't think he would have been. I didn't think he was going to do as good as he's. And he was hurt. I think a couple weeks too. So and he's still, over 200 fantasy points. And Kamara. I've always liked Kamara. I really wanted to draft him, and Sin City got him before I could. I had him queued up in our draft. So and he's number 4 overall. The running back duo though in Detroit, man, Gibbs and Montgomery. Those
My
those guys
gosh,
are
yeah.
those guys are nice. Nice to have, man. It's an embarrassment of riches over there because Gibbs got 10 touchdowns. I think Montgomery's got 11 touchdowns. So they're both creeping up on 1,000 yards, which is pretty nice. So But yeah, I feel like, I mean, receiver, you got Jamar Chase and you kind of got everybody else this year.
Yeah,
But
like
yeah,
Jerry Judy's been balling out of his mind lately.
yeah, and then Terry McLaurin having a great season. Jefferson, I think, is the only other receiver with over 1,000 yards receiving. Um, but yeah, he's only got 5 touchdowns. Chase has got 1142 yards and 13 touchdowns, so that's kind of like the degree of separation there. But overall, I mean, great production for Jefferson, just not the touchdowns. And I don't know if
Mhm.
that's Sam Darnold's fault or it's just the way the circumstances, and the defenses that he's seeing. But still, to put over 1,000 yards, again, is incredible.
Yeah, he's having a good start to his career. I mean, he's already, I think it's like year four already for him or five, and he's looking really good. Um, I'm glad I picked him up when I did his rookie year. I was like, man, that's probably like one of the best pickups I've ever made in my life, apparently.
Yeah.
Found gold there. But yeah, yeah, and then I thought, like Jaden Reed, I thought I mean, I guess he's a top 10 receiver if you're looking at fantasy points.
Yeah,
I guess it's,
and looking at it right now, I'm kind of wishing I would have stuck with him a little bit more. I kind of got a little impatient and moved on from him. And
that was like me with Jackson Smith and Jigba, man. I held on to him for like all year, and then literally like the last four games he's played, he's just been like a wide receiver one. I'm like, damn, I was on to
yeah,
something, but couldn't hold on enough. I needed a win now. So,
yeah, Sin City, Marco, he said that he didn't even know who he was until the podcast. So,
should have said anything. Just kidding.
right? That's like, one of the things, we talk about players and people that we think, especially early on in the season. And, some of those picks that we've put out there help other teams, kind of climb the ranks. So at least
Yeah.
we're doing our job in that regard. But the bad thing is if we're on the tail end of the season, if we're finishing, ninth and tenth, the good news is going the way the draft picks are now, we'll have a high pick next year. So
Right? Yeah, now hopefully I can get a juicy squad next year.
yeah, but
Um, yeah.
it's been a lot of there's been a lot of parity in the NFL and a lot of big injuries this year, and then also a lot of parity within our fantasy football league. So
Yeah, it's been tremendous amount, but I mean, get into I guess people's final stretches of playoffs and playoff pushes. Anybody you'd recommend for them to check out?
well, Westbrook Akine, that
I actually was
guy
just looking at him.
seems like every freaking week this guy's the last like 4 weeks he's catching like 2 touchdowns a week, big plays. He doesn't have the volume of receptions, but man, it seems like half of his receptions are touchdowns. So
Yeah.
he's kind of a nice, could be a good one to pick up. I picked up Jerry Judy. I'm actually going to use him this week in my flex. So that was one guy I was kind of on the fence about picking up, but I parted ways with Shakir. So I was kind of hoping that he was going to reemerge as to receiver number one, but it didn't seem to be doesn't seem to be going that way in Buffalo. So how about you? Anybody you're kind of checking out or Alan or maybe could recommend?
Yeah, I was gonna say Nick Westbrook Akine looks like pretty intriguing. Adam Thielen looks like he's starting to pick it up after being injured throughout the year. So he's actually looking pretty spry, surprisingly, for how old he is. I
Yeah,
think he's like 35, and he's still looking like he's getting it done, man. And Bryce Young's been playing some good football. So another guy that if you're looking at a quarterback to kind of check out, maybe he could be a guy. But uh, other than that, I mean, most of the top tier guys will probably be owned. You could check out Elijah Moore, like you were mentioning. He looks like he's been pretty steady with Jameis Winston. So if you need receiver help or a flex guy, he'd be a good recommendation, I would say.
yeah.
And outside of that, let me see if I'm missing anybody else that
Well, you got Garendo, who's going to be the running back now for San
Garindo,
Fran.
yeah, he's a
So
must pick up.
I went to go swoop him up yesterday, and Sin City beat me to it. Once I found out McCaffrey is going to be out for an extended period of time, and Mason's out too, so Grindle would be, I think, a good one, an instant
I
plug and play.
I would say yeah, he'd be like the number one if he's available. Like you have to get him type guy because I mean San Francisco runs the ball good. Chicago's defense this year is their weakness has been the run. So I think Guerrero for sure would be a top guy to pick up. Um, Outside of that, I feel like those are the main guys. If you're looking for quarterback help, I think Will Levis has a good, favorable schedule coming up. So I think if you're looking for maybe like a change of pace or, you have an injury of some sort, whatever the case, maybe just want some new life, I think Will Levis has probably like one of the best quarterback schedules left on the year. Derek Carr too, like he's been airing it
Yeah,
out in that Kubiak offense this year. Kind of a down week against the Rams, but you get the Giants who have a soft secondary, so could be some deep balls there for him to hit later on in the game or whatever. And yeah, I feel like those are the main guys. Bryce Young would be kind of fun too. So, hopefully
yeah,
hopefully you guys are having better fantasy seasons than us. Obviously, sounds like Marco watches the podcast, so we know he is. And hopefully, whoever else watches the podcast is, having a killer fantasy season. Too bad it couldn't be us this year, but or at least myself. You still have a little shot. Me, I'm done. I'm out.
yeah.
So
If I would have split these last 2 weeks, I think I'd be okay. But yeah, now I'm like, shoot. There's a log jam, ahead of me. So if I can win, a lot of guys are playing each other, which we have Corey, I think, is playing Anthony. So if I can get some help from Pellegrosso to keep mashing like he's been doing, I have a good chance there, um, to try to sneak in. And then so I'm playing Sin City, so he's ahead of me. And so then Pelly's playing ABCD, so that's he's 6-7, so he's ahead of me. And then Brees Almighty and Gila Monsters are playing each other. So if Gila can take care of Brees, like I didn't, like I should have done, he's
we both
ahead of
should
me.
have.
So
No, I'm just kidding.
three potential wins, right, or losses right there. That can, and if I win, that can catapult me up, 3 spots into the probably even the fifth spot. So, so I'm
Man, that'd be
hoping,
crazy.
yeah. So
Imagine
I'm
you shoot all
hoping.
the way up there.
So that's my
Yeah.
goal. But yeah, mistakes were made on my part. I had my lineup set, and then kind of going into Thanksgiving, I'm getting ready to cook the turkey, and I'm like, let me just kind of switch some things. And man, I just really ended up shooting myself in the foot trying to get too cute. So
Yeah. I tried to do multiple approaches this year. I'm like, I tried to set and forget, didn't work out. I tried to switch it up, didn't work out. And it's like, if I would have set and forget my team one week, it would have worked out. If I would have switched it up the other
yeah,
week, it would have worked out. I was like, it's just this is one of those years, just too much dysfunction to overcome. But
yeah. Well, there's been a lot of challenges this year too. Like you're talking about performance wise. Every week it seems like someone's like emerging that you're not even expecting, and guys that you're thinking are going to be top tier with favorable matchups just only
just
go for like
flop.
4 or 5 points.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's been a lot of that this year, actually. Uncharacteristically, uncharacteristically, I was like, I can't say that. There's been a lot of that because usually, like, you want to play the favorable matchups, and then your guys go off, and then it's like the second or third string are going off, and then
yeah,
like for example, week 12. I mean, on paper, you have okay. Would you rather have Justin Jefferson in your lineup or Jordan Addison? And in Brees Almighty's case, he had Jordan Addison. In my case, I had Justin Jefferson. And Jordan Addison goes for like, 160 yards and 2 touchdowns or whatever, and Justin Jefferson gets me 3 points. It's like, what can you do, man? You set your guys, you think you have the better guy, and then all of a sudden, something
yeah,
like that happens. Um, but yeah, one final take too is if you guys have Caleb Williams on your team, looks like he's starting to get comfortable with the new head coach. Kind of glad Matt Eberflus got fired finally for the Bears. So
yeah,
hopefully Caleb owners have hung on to him and enjoy the rest of the season with him if you have him. So
yeah, yeah. It could be a good dark horse for the playoffs for your fantasy playoff push. So
he's looking hungry and more comfortable for sure. So but yeah, we'll still just because I'm out of it, I won't stop these episodes though. We'll still, give some analysis and maybe some potential guys to consider for your team and whatnot. So I hope you guys the best of luck for your fantasy playoff push. If you're pushing for it, if you're already in the playoffs, good luck. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and all the fun channels that we have out there. So,
Alrighty, and then have
all
a
right.
safe trip up north.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow for funeral services for Uncle Philip. So, as you saw in our last episode, we paid tribute to him, and we got the services this week. So, I'll be spending time with family up in NorCal.
Yeah, I can't make it. Unfortunately, I have work stuff going on, but you know, I'm gonna give a call to some people, and obviously,
Yeah.
my best wishes and everything for the family, and I hope the services just go well and everything.
Yep. All right,
So,
guys. Thanks for watching.
alrighty, see you guys.
All right, bye.